A Pirate's Quest by Simon Cross. The salty breeze carried whispers of danger as Captain Isaac Ironhook Crane stood at the helm of the Tempest, his weathered hands gripping the ship's wheel. Dark clouds loomed on the horizon, matching the storm brewing in his heart. For years he had sailed the treacherous waters of the Caribbean, building a fearsome reputation as a pirate who feared nothing save for the ghosts of his past. Lightning illuminated the churning waves, revealing the anxious faces of his crew. They had been at sea for weeks, following a course that only Crane seemed to understand. The captain's eyes darted to the tattered map tucked into his coat, a secret he guarded more fiercely than any treasure. "Cap'n," a gruff voice called out. It was old Tom, the eldest member of the crew. "The men are restless. They say we're chasing fairy tales and curses." Crane's jaw tightened. "Tell them to hold fast. We're close now, I can feel it in my bones." As if on cue, a haunting melody drifted across the water, barely audible above the howling wind. The crew fell silent, their eyes wide with a mixture of awe and terror. The siren song, old Tom whispered, crossing himself. "We shouldn't be here. Cap'n, this be cursed waters." But Crane paid no heed to the warnings. His thoughts drifted to his father, who had vanished years ago while searching for the very treasure they now sought. The map in his pocket, torn and faded, was all that remained of the man who had taught him to sail, and to dream of untold riches. "Blackwater Isle," Crane murmured, his voice low and determined. "It's out there, waiting for us." As night fell, an uneasy quiet settled over the Tempest. In the cramped quarters below deck, a different kind of storm was brewing. First Mate Briggs, a man with ambition as vast as the sea itself, huddled with a group of discontented sailors. "The captain's lost his mind," Briggs hissed, his eyes darting nervously toward the hatch. "He's leading us to our doom for a treasure that don't exist." A burly sailor named Hawkins nodded in agreement. "Aye, but what can we do? Ironhook's got the loyalty of half the crew." Briggs leaned in closer, a wicked gleam in his eye. "For now we wait. But when we reach this godforsaken isle, we'll take what's ours, treasure or no." As the conspirators plotted below, Crane stood alone on the deck, unaware of the betrayal festering among his crew. His eyes scanned the darkness, searching for any sign of land. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught his attention. A shadowy figure seemed to dance across the waves, beckoning him forward. Crane blinked, and the apparition vanished. He shook his head, wondering if the long days at sea were playing tricks on his mind. But deep in his gut, he knew they were drawing near to something beyond the realm of ordinary men. Dawn broke, revealing a sight that sent a collective shudder through the crew. Rising from the mist like a beast from the depths was Blackwater Isle. True to its name, the waters surrounding the island were as dark as ink, concealing whatever horrors might lurk beneath the surface. As the tempest drew closer, the remnants of less fortunate ships became visible along the shoreline. Broken masts and shattered hulls littered the black sand beach, a grim warning to those who dared to venture too close. "Drop anchor," Crane bellowed, his voice carrying over the eerie silence that had fallen over the ship. "Prepare to go ashore." Briggs approached the captain, his face a mask of concern. "Sir, perhaps we should send a small party first, to scout the area." Crane nodded, his eyes never leaving the forbidding landscape before them. "Agreed. You'll come with me, along with Hawkins and old Tom. The rest of you, stay alert. If anything seems amiss, fire a warning shot and be ready to weigh anchor at a moment's notice." As the landing party rowed toward the shore, the oppressive silence of the island seemed to press down upon them. No birds called from the gnarled trees that clung to the rocky cliffs. No insects buzzed in the humid air. It was as if all life had been drained from this forsaken place. The moment their boots touched the black sand, a sense of unease washed over them. Old Tom muttered a prayer under his breath, while Hawkins gripped his cutlass so tightly his knuckles turned white. Crane pulled out the map, studying it intently. "This way," he said, pointing toward a dense jungle that seemed to pulse with malevolent energy. "The temple should be about a mile inland." As they hacked their way through the undergrowth, the air grew thick and oppressive. Strange symbols carved into ancient stones lined their path, their meanings lost to time. Briggs kept a watchful eye on Crane, waiting for the right moment to make his move. After what felt like hours of trudging through the suffocating jungle, they emerged into a clearing. Before them stood a massive stone structure, its walls covered in intricate carvings that seemed to writhe and move in the dappled sunlight. "By all that's holy," old Tom gasped. "What manner of place is this?" Crane's eyes gleamed with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. "This, gentlemen, is what we came for. The temple that holds the treasure of Blackwater Isles." As they approached the entrance, a cold wind rushed past them, carrying with it the faint sound of whispers. Hawkins stumbled back, his face pale with fear. "Cap'n, I don't like this. There's something wrong here." But Crane was beyond reason now. The promise of treasure and answers about his father's fate drove him forward. "Stay alert," he commanded, "and watch for traps." The interior of the temple was a maze of shadowy corridors and cavernous chambers. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing like a heartbeat. As they delved deeper, the whispers grew louder, forming words that danced just beyond comprehension. In one chamber, they encountered a series of intricate puzzles that seemed to test not just their intellect but their very character. Crane solved each one with a determination that bordered on madness, while his companions grew increasingly uneasy. "It's testing us," Old Tom muttered, "judging our worth." Briggs saw his opportunity slipping away with each step they took deeper into the temple. As they entered a vast central chamber, he made his move. "This has gone far enough, Crane," he shouted, drawing his pistol. "You've led us into a death trap for your own selfish reasons." Crane whirled around, his eyes blazing. "You dare to challenge me now, Briggs? After all we've been through." "I'm thinking of the crew," Briggs snarled. "Something you've forgotten in your obsession with this cursed place." The tension in the air was palpable as the two men faced off. Old Tom and Hawkins looked on, unsure of where their loyalties should lie. Suddenly, a deep rumbling shook the chamber, and a hidden door ground open behind them. There, bathed in an otherworldly glow, lay a treasure beyond imagining. Gold coins, precious gems, and artifacts of untold value filled the room. But at the center of it all, pulsing with dark energy, was a blood-red gem the size of a man's fist. Crane's breath caught in his throat. "The heart of the siren," he whispered. "It's real." But before anyone could move, a ghostly figure materialized before them. Crane's heart nearly stopped as he recognized the spectral form of his father. Isaac, the apparition, spoke, its voice echoing with the weight of years. "You must not take the treasure. The curse is real. Whoever claims the heart becomes bound to this island for eternity." Crane's mind reeled. All these years he had dreamed of this moment, of uncovering the truth about his father's disappearance. But now, faced with the reality of the curse, he realized the terrible price of his obsession. Briggs, however, saw only opportunity. With a maniacal laugh, he lunged for the gem. "If you're too weak to take it, Crane, then I will." "No," Crane shouted, but it was too late. The moment Briggs' hand closed around the heart of the siren, a piercing scream filled the air. The temple began to shake violently and dark spirits poured from the walls, their ethereal forms writhing with malevolent glee. "Run!" Crane yelled, grabbing Old Tom and Hawkins. "We have to get out of here." They raced through the crumbling corridors, dodging falling stones in the grasping hands of spirits that threatened to drag them into the abyss. Behind them, they could hear Briggs' agonized screams as the curse claimed him. The jungle was in chaos as they emerged from the temple. Trees uprooted themselves, and the very ground seemed to come alive beneath their feet. The black waters around the island churned and boiled, as if eager to swallow everything in their path. Somehow, they made it back to the shore, where their rowboat waited. As they pushed off from the disintegrating island, Crane looked back one last time. The temple was collapsing in on itself, taking with it the treasure, the curse, and all those who had fallen victim to its lure over the centuries. Hours later, as the Tempest sailed away from the sinking remains of Blackwater Isle, Crane stood at the helm, his face etched with the weight of all they had experienced. The crew, shaken but alive, went about their duties in somber silence. Old Tom approached the captain, concern evident in his weathered features. "What now, Captain? Where do we go from here?" Crane reached into his coat and pulled out the tattered map that had led them on this perilous journey. Without a word, he tore it to shreds and let the pieces flutter away on the wind. "We sail on," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "There are other adventures waiting for us out there, ones that don't demand such a terrible price." As the last vestiges of Blackwater Isle disappeared beneath the waves, Crane allowed himself a small, rueful smile. He had sought treasure and found instead a truth far more valuable, that some quests are not worth the cost, and that the greatest adventures are those that bring us home, changed but unbroken. "Some treasures," he muttered, more to himself than to anyone else, "ain't worth the price." With that, he turned his gaze to the horizon, where new possibilities awaited. The curse of Blackwater Isle was behind them now, but its lessons would sail with the Tempest and her crew for many years to come. As the sun set on another day at sea, the haunting melody of the siren's song faded into memory, a reminder of the thin line between adventure and folly, and the wisdom to know the difference.